Hi guys, it's me, Miss Manifester, helping you open a spiritual doorway to the abundance that you deserve. On the channel today, I'm super excited to have Hannah Galliers with me. She is going to be talking to us about how her spiritual journey has really helped her to overcome her past and mental health. And she's going to hopefully maybe give us some tips that you guys can take away as well. Hannah, I would love to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself and what it is you do to my audience.
Hi, I'm Hannah Galliers. I am the Mindfulness Coach. So I work with women to help them realise their value, especially working mums. That's where I'm most passionate because we're all busy trying to juggle so much these days that we find it hard to find time for us. And that's where I help women, is to realise how important that is.
100%. I'm a working mum, so I completely know that feeling of not feeling sometimes balanced and not having time for ourselves. I think that is something that we need to do more, because if we're happy people, then obviously from a law of attraction angle, that really pays off. But especially where children are concerned, happy mum, happy children. I don't think that we should be putting ourselves on the back burner. So Hannah, tell me a little bit about your story. It's a very powerful story. So I'm going to just give people a heads up. It's super powerful. Where you were at before you went on your spiritual journey and discovered mindfulness.
So, as Esther said, it is a powerful story. So I guess it's just a bit of a trigger warning now. So it all started when I was 19 and experienced quite a lot of trauma. I was kidnapped and raped by two men. And it took me a long time to get over that. There was a lot of self-loathing and self-hate, was very isolating. And, you know, I found the coping mechanisms, I found the wrong ones. I was using alcohol and it was very self-destructive. I was doing that for a good few years. And unfortunately, in 2015, my best friend passed away suddenly. That was a big wake-up call for me. I realized I had to get help and sort myself out. Otherwise, I would end up dead, which is the truth, because I didn't want to be alive. And that was really hard. I could carry on down this a comfortably uncomfortable path, or I could be brave and take a risk. What was the worst that was going to happen if I tried? So in 2015, I reached out for help. And I went and spoke to a doctor. And obviously, if anyone's experienced the mental health services here in the UK, quite often they'll be like, oh, it's some antidepressants.
Yeah, it's not the best of services, I must say. Sorry, NHS.
The NHS is fantastic if you've got a broken leg. It's fantastic, but the mental health service is unfortunately very fractured, and it's under a lot of pressure and just underfunded. So I'm not saying that antidepressants are a bad thing. They absolutely have their place, but they are for the short term, so you can do the work. I went on antidepressants and was told that to get therapy, it would be 9 months. So for someone who doesn't want to wake up the next day, 9 months, that's a long time.
Yeah.
And I just didn't know what to do. By chance, and this is why I believe everything happens for a reason, one of my friends saw a meditation for young people course. And I thought, she asked me to go along, and I thought, you know what, meditation's a load of rubbish. I can't sit still. It's not going to be for me. And I just thought it was a load of people just sitting there going, you know, all the kind of cliches. And
of course, yeah.
And I went with an open mind because she really wanted someone to go with. And so I said, okay, fine, I'll go along. And so I just did it. And for the first time in my life, I was able to create this space where I could start exploring some of these feelings and some of these thoughts that were coming up. And I was able to accept them just as they were. And that was for the first time in my life where I felt some kind of acceptance. Exactly how I was, because a lot of people I found that when I was in that dark place don't want to hear about it. They wanted to see the happy Hannah, one that's smiling. They don't really want to know that you're actually feeling crap.
Yeah, it makes people feel, I think it makes a lot of people feel uncomfortable because they don't have the words. And I think, for a lot of people, especially people who haven't experienced it, and even for people who have experienced it, for people who've experienced death, which I've experienced that. And when somebody dies, there's no words, there aren't words to actually express to somebody like how crap that is. But yeah, I think it makes people uncomfortable. And I think you've just hit on a really important topic in law of attraction, that there is a lot of like this kind of what I would call toxic positivity repression of just smile and just like everything's fine. And that doesn't mean that the issue is resolved. So it's the same with the antidepressants. The antidepressants create the space and the condition for you to be able to feel strong enough and maybe balanced enough to face the healing aspects. But yeah, they're not an antidote for trauma, or they're not going to fix that emotional void or whatever it is, because I've been on antidepressants, so I understand that. So you discovered meditation, and obviously at this point something has awoken in you. So how did that journey develop from there? Was your friend like, I'm never coming back, and you were like, well, I'm going forever?
She said it was very hard to meditate with you shuffling about all the time. So even back then I couldn't sit still. It's not about making it perfect, it's about doing it. It's about the little things building up over time. So I kept going to this class every week, and then I decided I wanted to take my practice a bit further. So using mindfulness, for me, it created a little bit more space between me and my emotional reaction. And that really started then, because I was eventually diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, which means I have a lot of emotions, basically. I just think it means I'm more sensitive to the world. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And so it helped me process things and process the world. I then decided I wanted to try a Buddhist retreat. And I like talking. So the fact that I tell people that quite often now, every year I go for at least one retreat that is in silence for about 5 days, they tend to laugh at.
I would have completely poo-pooed that a few years ago, and I would have said, no, it's never going to happen. But you know what? Now I can't think of anything. I'd love it. I'd absolutely love to just go and be silent.
And yeah, so we went for, again, a young person's one. 3 days. First day, my ego literally would just not shut up, was constantly saying, oh, this is so stupid, why are you here, you're sat in a room of like 30 other people, this is ridiculous, just go home. And I really had to fight past that. Day 2, I cried and I cried and I cried some more. Literally everything that I'd been holding on to for so long I didn't want to face came up, bubbling through, and that's obviously what my mind was trying to protect me from. And I just felt this release, and unless you've been on a retreat, you can't describe it. It's just this sense of letting go. And then on day 3 I had this, whereas before it felt like a whirlwind or a tsunami inside of me, all of a sudden it was a still lake. I was able to calm my mind. I was able to meditate without constant bombardment of thoughts. And definitely the retreat environment lends itself to that. And taking that back into the real world can be a challenge. But for me, that was kind of the start of the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I knew I didn't need to be on medication for the rest of my life. I knew if I did more of this, it would work for me. This is what worked for me. And so, yeah, little by little, you chip away at it. It's not sitting there for 1 hour for a meditation and suddenly your life is going to be fixed. It's not. It's what you do consistently builds up over time. I try and meditate at least once a day, and I've recently had a baby, which makes it a bit more challenging, but it's a reminder to myself that that's my time, even if it's 3 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, how long a duration do you give yourself for meditation? Because I don't know if you're familiar with like Abraham Hicks' works, but she's like, 10 minutes is fine. She just doesn't need to be anything more than that to get into the right space.
Oh yeah, some days it varies. Some days I will find it really difficult, and instead of trying to fight it, okay, well, I've just sat on the mat, that might be enough for today. Instead of sitting there feeling like you're beating yourself up, just come back another time. And then the next day, half an hour might come really easy to me. And that's what's important, is just going at it each day. You don't go to the gym once and suddenly think you've lost 10 pounds.
That would be amazing. Like, wouldn't we love that? I agree with you. I think the mind and the focus, especially around mindfulness and becoming present, is a muscle to be flexed. And I wish I could say to people that doing one mindfulness exercise or whatever is going to be it, but it's not. It's law of attraction, spirituality, all of this stuff takes some consistency to develop the awareness and the practice. Do you have any tips for like people who are just kind of getting into meditation? Because I think for people it does feel like I really cliched it and stereotyped it as people going home and just it's there's an emoji for it, for goodness sake, like so.
So it's modern.
We know what people think of it. So do you have any tips for people who are just starting out, perhaps whether it's meditation or mindfulness?
So my biggest tip is that make it right for you. So meditation is right for some people, but you can be mindful doing anything, absolutely anything. If you want to be mindful drinking a beer or a glass of wine, start with that. You phone off, nothing else. Concentrate on the 5 senses in that glass of wine. I think wine really lends itself to that. Or going for a walk. Nature, again, really lends itself to that mindful mind. And just see how it feels. Be curious. And then my final tip would be, don't do it alone. Go to a class. The energy of being around people in that same space makes it so much more powerful, I think, because we... I don't know if it's maybe just me, but I'm a little bit competitive at times. And so you'll find yourself sticking to it a bit more if you're around other people and you're more drawn to it. Those are my 2 top tips.
I think that's really powerful, especially in terms of like when you are developing any spiritual practice or becoming spiritual, is really calling in that tribe of people who understand you and understand what you're doing, because it's so easy then to be able to have those really open conversations. Like you said, those conversations were before where you were like saying you're having a bad day, and people who aren't open or receptive to that. Whereas like spiritual people that are, it's not toxic spirituality, but people that are really on their path are really accepting of that and are able to listen to you and to hold that space for you. And it's just a beautiful reciprocal thing. So I definitely think anyone should do that. And from an LOA angle, like being present is everything. Like to me, mindfulness is the mindset that you need to be able to harness law of attraction effectively, because everything manifests from the present, from the decisions you make in the present, from what you give your focus to, from the way you choose to care about yourself. So even if you're having a bad day, it's just about the choices you make for yourself in that time. How do you find your journey now? Like, because I think healing is like a lifelong journey. How are you finding it now? Do you still have like what you would call difficult days that you have to kind of troop through?
I mean, if I said I didn't, I think I'd be a liar, and I think most people would. We all have difficult days. We are human. It's part of the human condition. We will have bad days where we feel sad, and we'll have days where we find it difficult to move forward. But at some point, I realized that those days were less and less and less. And I think that everything that's been going on in the news, and even with the lockdowns and things, it's making sometimes those days harder. And it's about protecting your energy. The news is a really bad way to lose that protective energy force around you. So I tend to avoid a lot of the news, social media. Sometimes you just have to unplug to restart yourself. And And on those bad days, you just have to remind yourself that tomorrow is another day. Be here now and sit with what is, welcome it in like an old friend, and just be with it. And tomorrow it will be different.
That's it. Tomorrow is always a fresh start to choose something new. This might be if this is too difficult a question, you don't have to answer it. If it's too trigger worthy, again, you don't have to answer it, but I think it might be an important question. Just given the experience that you had and a lot of the things that have been going on in the media lately, do you have any advice to women that are feeling fearful? Because I think this is the situation with Sarah Everard just highlighted a fear that's always been there. Like all women have always had that fear of stuff like that could happen. Has anything come up for you where you've managed your own fear, or have you got any advice to any women that may be experiencing some anxiety around that?
So it's hard to say, because I obviously went through something similar, and I fortunately had a happy ending or a better outcome. It's hard to say, I'm afraid. I just always said to myself that I wanted my life to continue because I was going to let them win otherwise. I think that justice does get served eventually. And, you know, you can't live in fear, unfortunately. You know, there's going to be horrible things that happen, but you've got to live your life, your true, authentic self. So do what you believe is right at any time. That's the only advice I can give.
I think that's beautiful advice. I really think it's gorgeous advice that just that, like, you know, life is short, life is precious, but we have to make the most of it, and we have to try to carry on and to just live in love and live in passion and purpose for ourselves wherever we can. I think that leads me on to my next question, really, is just that at what point because obviously, like you said, that there were days where you woke up and you were like, I don't really want to be here anymore. And obviously on your spiritual journey, at what point did you really connect into, like, I do want to be here, and I think I've found something that I want to, like, really live for here, in terms of whether it's your spiritual business now, or maybe it's your family? What was the kind of, what was this first spark, I guess?
So definitely the first spark was on that first retreat that I went on. I remember, I can still see it picture perfect in my mind. So I'm quite spiritual, so I'll share this on this.
Oh yeah, get it, go for it.
So I remember being by this it was an old church. So where the retreat it was an old nunnery, and there was a really beautiful old church next to it. And I decided I was going to go for a walk. This was on day 2 in the afternoon, after I'd cried all day. And I remember coming out to where the sun was out and there were birds in the sky, and it was perfectly blue, like a day to day. And I just was overcome with a sense of peace and warmth. And to me, it felt like my friend that had passed was there with me and just telling me that everything was going to be okay. And I just felt her presence. And it's really hard to explain.
You can't, there's no words for it, because it's not a human, it's not, I mean, it is a human experience as a human, but you're having an experience with something that isn't of the world. So I understand that.
And that was kind of the moment where I was like, oh yeah, okay, everything is going to be okay. This is a sign. And that's when I started to trust in those signs that I see, trust in the things that happen that lead you onto a path. So I think everything happens for a reason, good or bad, because it will lead you where you are today. And I'm grateful for everything in my life today. Had everything that had happened to me not happened, I don't think I would be in this exact moment here.
Yes. I it's really funny you said that, because I was going to ask you, do you think, as difficult as it is, that what happened led to this moment? And I think that a lot with things that, like, when my mum passed away at 17, and everything that dominoed off of the back of that. I wish it hadn't took 12 years. You might feel like the same. I don't know how long your kind of spectrum of journey was, but I wish it hadn't been 12 years. However, I think, would I be doing this work now had I not gone through that? And I maybe the answer is yes, but I honestly don't know if that's true, because I think sometimes, as you say, you have to experience this ultimate level of discomfort and rock bottom to shift to something better. And when I left my marriage, I didn't think, oh, I'm going to be spiritual or anything like that. And none of that came forward for me, but it did come forward very quickly. So yeah, do you have any advice to anybody? Because we do have people in this channel who've got depression. What would you say are your kind of tips for just, whether it is going to the doctor, whether it is then seeking out something holistic as well? Like, do you have any tips for people that are suffering and just need to maybe take a step in the right direction? It doesn't have to be a full path, but just a stepping stone towards something better.
So my biggest piece of advice is just keep it simple. You know, don't try and overcomplicate it. Be really kind to yourself, and if set yourself goals every day so you feel a sense of success and achievement. Now, some days that might be doing a whole shop, tidying the house, and that's fantastic. But other days that might just be taking a shower, and that's also fantastic and something to celebrate. So celebrate all those small wins. And as I said earlier, it's all about these small things that build up over time. Celebrating having a shower once, again, you're not gonna suddenly not have depression.
Yeah, of course.
But keep celebrating everything. And the biggest tool that I use with my clients that are struggling is gratitude lists. If we can cultivate the sense of gratitude, it will help us appreciate everything we do have, because depression can come from living too much in the past. So each morning, get up, write 3 things you're grateful for. And on those really bad days, it could be the fact that you have running water in your house. It could be that you're breathing. It doesn't have to be anything big. Keep it simple.
I agree with that. And I think there's like that, it is an expression of like, depression is living in the past and anxiety is living too much in the future. And really it's about being able to come into the present. And we love gratitude here on this channel, from an LOA angle. And 100% is that sometimes I've been in the shower and I've just gone, just knowing the water's hot, you're just like, this water could be cold, like, and this could be a really horrible experience. Some people love those cold showers. I know people who they love it, and I'm like, ew. Like I'm like, yeah, you carry on with your cold showers and your ice baths. I'm more than happy living my life with my warm baths and my warm showers. But it's like being not taking for granted all these very small things, even like down to just the fact that the people who are watching this, you're watching this on some piece of technology that you've got access to. That to me is a blessing, that you've got access to a resource. I think that's been really powerful. So tell people about where you're at today. So obviously you've got your business. Where are you at now? Like, what have you achieved in your life since? And like, we're celebrating you, like you said about celebrating. I'm really big on that, success audits and really boosting our sense of self-worth and accomplishment through all these little things. So let's celebrate you. What have you achieved?
What have I achieved? Wow. Okay. Put me on the spot a bit. So, well, I am engaged. I have my own house. I've got 2 dogs. One is a rescue, and he's wonderful. I have a baby. So this is somewhere in my life that I always wanted, and I dreamt of the home with my own dog and husband and baby. And I got there within like 4 years of wanting it and putting my mind to it. I have helped a charity, so I'm based in Cotswolds. It's called Hannah Galliers. So they go out on nights out and they help vulnerable women. And I've also I have a successful career in finance, as well as running my own business and having a baby. So
what a powerhouse! What a what has she not done? What has she not do? If you're going to manifest, you know what, I should ask this question more often of the guests on the channel. If you could manifest anything, like whether it's big or sort of a next step, a stepping stone, what would you like to manifest next in your life?
In my life, I want to manifest more traveling.
Ooh,
there's more of the world. There's more of the world I want to see. I'm feeling a bit itchy after a year of just being in the UK. And I always have a panic whenever I have those bad days, I panic that I'm going to miss out on the world. So definitely that's the next thing on my list.
I know what you mean. Like I was saying to somebody, like, I'm desperate to go, like London, like my family from London. Oh, where's my dog's growling in the back? What are you growling for? What are you doing? Oh, they're so naughty. They get up to so many naughty things. I've pop them in their crate because they can't be trusted. My family from London, but they've all kind of passed on now. But I get this calling to go there, and I also love going there from a business angle and like do a lot of networking and things. And like my heart is just going, we got to get to London. We got to do the networking, girl. And it's like, no one's networking. Like no one's doing anything. So you're not missing out on anything. Like, don't worry about it. Like it is what it is. But yeah, so there we go. We're setting the intention for you that you're going to travel somewhere this year. That will be exciting. And then we can come back and we can say that Hannah manifested more travel. Do you have any final words of just whether it's encouragement or just a final thought that you would like to end this on? I think this has been really powerful, and I think it will give so many people hope and encouragement that A, they can go from here to here. Mm-hmm. B, you can have trauma and you can still create amazing things. And just that, spirituality really can open a door to peace and healing. But yeah, do you have anything else that you would like to add?
Just for everyone to know that you're amazing and you're doing an amazing job. No matter how hard it feels on those hard days, you've got this, and tomorrow is another day.
Whoop, whoop. Hannah, how can people connect with you, especially mums and who are looking for a bit more mindfulness and balance and stuff for them in their lives? Like how can the audience connect with you? Where can we find you?
So the best place to find me is Facebook. So my personal page, send me a message, we'll arrange a call. So it's Hannah Lucy Galliers, or search for the Mindfulness Coach, and I'll come up. I offer free one-to-one calls to begin with, just for a chat. You don't even necessarily want to have any of my services. I'm always open for a chat and meeting new people. So yeah.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to pop your links in the description anyway, so obviously people can come and find you guys. Please go and check out Hannah, check out her work. She is absolutely amazing. Hannah, thank you so much for your time today and for sharing your story, because it is a super powerful story, and I hope that you guys have took loads of inspiration and value away from this. Let's give a big wave and say goodbye.